doing this.
Okay.
So what I'm looking for is people who have very interesting life stories. And I met you via Sarah. This is Kim Taylor, everyone.
Hello.
And we're always seeing podcasts of people who have made a lot of money and a lot of success. And the stories are about, well, how did they do it? And you can do it too if you follow their rules for life.
Right.
My podcast is about normal people who have just as much talent, who did all the 20 steps, who have grit, who are talented, but didn't quite become super famous. And that's okay because they found a way to make their life creative and fulfilling. And I'm interested in hearing your story and hearing how maybe what you originally did wasn't where you ended up, but you're very happy with how things turned out for you. So, and the other thing I want to say is if you know anybody or somebody who's watching this video is interested in telling their story, please contact me. So, Kim.
Yes.
The first question I'm going to ask you is you are a creative person, and I want to know about how you started. What was your career like initially, and how that happened? Were you influenced by a teacher? Was it your parents? So bring me back to the beginning.
Okay. First of all, I had a wonderful childhood. I grew up in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Incredible parents. Mom worked sometimes, but mostly was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
My dad worked for Real Property, which is I think it's still around, but a big company in the city that takes care of buildings and building management, and they kind of oversee a lot. And I have a sister who is a year and a half younger than me, and later my family welcomed my brother, who's 13 years younger than me, so he was a little bit of a surprise.
Okay.
But we grew up in Brooklyn in an incredible building, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a terrace. I mean, just a gorgeous, gorgeous building. I'm sure they don't make them like that anymore.
No. And where in Brooklyn?
Flatbush. I grew up in Flatbush. We moved a couple of times in my youth, but that's where we spent most of my time, in that building. And my parents were very supportive. My mom recognized early that I was interested in art.
Okay.
So she let me kind of explore. You know, all of my presents were always like coloring books or paint by number sets or crocheting or something, you know, that I could do with my hands and really enjoy myself. Every summer, my sister and I went away to camp. I'm Jewish. I grew up as a Jewish
that
person.
Was something interesting that I would love to talk to you about also, because you are a person of color who is also Jewish.
Yes.
So you have like a double, what do I call it? I don't know. It must have been hard growing up in that regard? Or?
Not really.
No? Okay. Maybe because you're in Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn is a very diverse area. My mother grew up a Jew. My family has Judaism in our ancestry since way back. My father grew up as Baptist, but then later converted to our temple and became quite an important figure in our temple. President
and where
of the
was
temple.
your ancestry from?
We are from New York. We're from the South. When my sister did some ancestry research, we found Nigeria. We found several places in Africa where my family is from as well. My temple was a black temple.
So the Jewish part of your ancestry was African?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had
a really beautiful.
Oh, really?
Well, the northern part. Morocco. My mother.
Oh, yes. How beautiful.
Yeah.
I visited Morocco once
years
ago in my 20s. Fell in love.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful
I'd
there.
love to go there someday.
So my temple is in East New York. I haven't been there in many years. It's a little far for me now.
Okay.
But it is where I grew up. And now I consider myself not only Jewish, but also just very spiritual being. I try not to focus as much on the religious aspect as I do on the spiritual aspect. And I have gratitude constantly every day for everything. And I think that is more important than making sure you get to temple every Saturday for Shabbos, which is important, of course. But I think it's equally as important to celebrate all of the things that make us human and beautiful human beings that are connected to the universe and spirituality. I think if we practice that every day, then we can be good people.
I think we'd be a better world.
I think so too. So that was nice, and I went to the Jewish camp every summer, which was a beautiful thing because I grew up in this community in the building I lived in where the kids played outside, and we had, you know, this beautiful community. And I loved being city girl, but then every summer I would go to the Catskill Mountains. Originally the camp was in Bear Mountain, then moved to the Catskills, and just my love of nature was started there. I think it was just I love it so much, and I think that's probably one of the reasons I moved out to Long Island 30 years ago. Just wanted to hear the crickets and you know, just have a more, you know, less city life. Yeah, so so that was great. I had a great childhood, and I think my love of art probably started back then on a very basic level.
And so you did what kind of art?
When I was very young, I drew. I remember my best friend and I were 12 years old, and we would take the bus on our own to the Brooklyn Museum, and we'd take classes where we just drew the statues in the museum, and we were the kids in a group full of grown-ups doing our sketches and stuff. I'm sure I wasn't very good. My best friend was much better. She was incredible, natural talent. But I had so much fun, and I do, recently I saw one of my pictures from that time. I had saved it, and I was like, wow, it was pretty good. I really had a good eye, you know?
Wow, okay.
So that was that. I kind of explored other types of art, painting, trying out oil painting and acrylics as I got a little older, but usually it was in order to fulfill some need. So when I first got my first apartment, I couldn't afford art. So I did some paintings, which were probably very bad, but I loved having them around, and it was great. And then later on, I had developed a new love, and that was for story quilting. So that came much later.
It did. Okay, so let's first
I went to public school in Brooklyn. When I finished my elementary school and junior high school, I passed the test to go to Brooklyn Tech High School. So I went to Brooklyn Tech, which is one of the top 3 high schools, and you have to pass an exam in order to get in. All of my friends went to Mid High School, which was a local high school in Brooklyn, and I really wanted to go there, but my mom was like, no, you really need to go to Brooklyn Tech. You passed the test. And you know what? I'm so glad I went because I still have that community 45 years later. There's a huge group of us on Facebook, and we get together and we do reunions, and sometimes just for the heck of it kind of reunions, and just so much fun, and a really beautiful community. After Brooklyn Tech High School, I went to Brooklyn College, and I studied speech pathology. So I have my bachelor's and master's in speech pathology, and that's my job now. I'm a speech pathologist.
Oh, I didn't realize that's what you did now. So did you always want to be an artist, and was speech pathology your way into something that you could make a living with, or?
That's a great question, but really I didn't see art as any kind of like career choice for me. I loved art, and I knew it would be always something that I tried out and did, but it wasn't something that I thought I would do for a living. And speech pathology, I became very interested as a young woman, about 16 years old, my brother, who I mentioned came later, and I was 13 years old when he was born. He was a late developer for his speech and language. So he ended up going to a speech pathologist, and my mom would take me with her when she would bring him, and we would be able to watch the therapy through a two-way mirror. And I kind of just fell in love. I was a very thinking young woman, very interested in kids even at that time. So I would do my own therapy with him sometimes.
Oh, interesting.
And
well, when you say late developer, at what age did
he probably started speaking around 3 years old, like which is a little late, you
My
know.
brother started at 5, actually.
So,
but at that time, I mean, your brother was lucky because at the time that my brother was growing up, the doctor told my mother that he was lazy, and that's why he wasn't speaking.
Wow, a whole different mindset. Wow.
I know, pretty amazing. Right?
Yeah.
So you were watching all these sessions, and that's what got you interested.
I decided that's what I wanted to be, a speech pathologist.
And at what age did he start seeing a professional?
Oh, he was probably around 2-ish. And then when he turned 3, they ended, you know, that was like early intervention.
Okay.
And then he went to, I think his like preschool was specialized for language. So they were very focused on language development. It was a great school. I remember I didn't really understand things as much back then, but when I look back, I realized, they were doing a great job with him, you know.
And what year was this?
Let's see, probably about 79.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, around
so
that time.
So that was a while ago.
Yeah, I'm 62, so yeah,
at that point.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so you studied this in college.
Yeah.
Were you still doing the art while all
Back
this was
then,
going on?
not really.
Not really.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't find anything that I really focused on as my thing. Okay. You know, when I was younger, I loved all kinds of things, just in order to create something. I tried my hand probably in my early 20s at making clothes, which I was not very good at. I found, like, when I think back on it now, excuse me, I think my major problem with making clothes was following a pattern. I prefer not to.
Okay.
I like to be very free-spirited.
Okay, we're going to see that in your art later.
So, so that was not something that I continued with. Even though I did make an incredible suit, a tweed like wool suit from a Vogue pattern, which I was really proud of. I probably still have it somewhere. But that was probably the extent of my clothing experience.
Okay.
So I wasn't really doing much with art back then. It probably came out in other ways. For instance, I did early intervention for about 25 years. And I would go from house to house and visit with the families. A lot of times my materials were drawn. Like, you know, I would do like drawings of different things that I wanted the kids to say or do. I would make my own games. So my artistic needs came out in that kind of way. Yeah, in my work.
So you found different ways of achieving the goal you wanted with these kids.
Yes.
Which is something I find unusual, because how were you able to do that in a system that had specific ways of doing this kind of work?
That's a great question, because in that part of my field, you are really very free to do what you need to do to get your end result.
Okay.
So a session, for instance, could be that you want a child to just have their first word. And let's say they are on this autism spectrum, and you know, getting expression out is very difficult for them. So it could be 30 minutes of just rolling a ball back and forth and saying go or ball or push, and you're trying to get them to imitate that. So your main goal is to get them to express their first words or single word utterances, we call it. But you can go about that in any way that you need to.
Okay.
So sometimes it'll be coloring something, or playing with a ball, more physical. There are different ways you can go about doing it.
Okay. I have some other questions that I will get to later, which is more related to your current job. But before we get to that, so you did this, and then what happens next?
So I did that early intervention for about 25 years.
Wow.
It was a long time, and some of the parents still keep in touch with me. Some I'll see if I'm like walking in the street, and a parent will say, "Oh my God, Jimmy, do you remember Miss Kim?"
Wow.
And they're like, "What?" And they're like now 18 or 20, and they were 3 when I worked with them.
And
so
how
they have
are
no
they?
Usually they're like, "No, I don't remember you."
But they're communicating.
Oh, and they're fine, and they're doing great.
Wow.
I'm so proud of them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you started with them at what age?
When they were little?
Yeah.
It really depends. They finish early intervention at 3.
Right.
So I've worked with kids as young as 6 months that had other kind of issues. I used to be like kind of a feeding specialist as well.
Okay.
So usually when they're that young, there's something else going on.
Okay.
But most of my students or my babies, I call them, were 18 months to right up to 3 years.
Okay. Interesting.
18 months, I feel like, is when parents start to realize, a lot of parents start to realize, wait, they're supposed to be saying their first words at 12 months, around that time.
Okay.
And at 18 months, they're still not communicating. So they end up calling to get their child evaluated.
All right.
Yeah.
And this is all in Brooklyn?
No, this is all out here because,
Long Island. By this point, you moved out here. Okay.
Right.
Got it. All right. And now I know about your artwork, so I'm going to bring that in.
Okay.
Were you doing anything in those 25 years that was more along the lines of that?
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
Wow. So now I'm curious as to how that all started.
Okay. All right. So before I get to that, let me say, after I left early intervention, I decided that it was time for me to do more of a desk office kind of job. When I was doing early intervention, I was sitting on the floor with the babies. It was very, hands-on, one-on-one.
Right.
And I realized when I started having to get up on all fours to get up off the floor, it was time to have a chair.
Okay.
So I interviewed for a school for the deaf, which I've been at for the last 11 years or so, or 12. It's Lexington School for the Deaf. It's in Queens.
Okay.
And one of my first jobs was a deaf school in Brooklyn called St. Francis School for the Deaf. And I didn't do anything with deaf for many, many years, but it seemed like a lot of the sign language came back to me when I interviewed for that one. So I was able to get that job. I'm a speech pathologist there now, and looking forward to retirement in a few years, hopefully.
Okay.
But I love what I do. It's a great job. I love using ASL and signing, and I love the community. So it's a great job.
So you started out there as a desk job?
No, but I have an office now rather than sitting on the floor. I get to sit in a chair, which is nice.
Right. But you work with the people, the students at the school, and you work with them as a group, individually?
Usually individually, one-on-one. Every once in a while I'm pushed into a classroom, but they come to my office, I see them 30 minutes. And then another student comes in, mostly elementary aged kids, but I do have some high schoolers and middle schoolers, and I love working with them too.
Interesting.
They keep my sign language on its toes.
So I have a question, which is completely, I did not think that I would be asking this and the interview would go here, but hey, that's the fun of doing it this way. How did you deal with frustration? So did you come to a point where you said to yourself, there's only so far these kids can go because obviously their brains are wired differently, and so I need to think of this differently than expecting them to become like me? Did that ever occur to you? Was that part of your education, your mantra? I'm curious.
Are you talking about working with deaf kids in particular?
With deaf kids and also with the ones who were autistic.
Ah, well, I think the important thing to recognize, excuse me, getting over a cold.
Uh-huh.
The important thing to recognize is that you cannot fix anyone, and that should not be your goal. You're trying to help them to communicate more efficiently and effectively. And you really do, I know this is kind of a cliche thing, but you need to meet them where they are. And I take that very seriously. I have high expectations, but I also recognize limitations, my own and theirs. And so I kind of work from where they are and try to get them to achieve a certain goal.
Right.
With autistic kids, I think that, or neurodivergent, as we're calling every
Right.
kid on the spectrum, and it really does encompass other issues.
Right.
It's just really a different way of communicating, and we have to find that way that helps them to get across what they want to get across.
Right.
So, you know, there are all kinds of techniques to work with different communication disorders or issues. But at the end of the day, I think the goal for all of these kids is really to help them communicate more effectively. And I do that whichever way I can.
Right.
With the older kids that I work with now, I try to figure out what they are going to need to be able to communicate outside of the walls of a school that is really all deaf kids. And all the people in the school know how to sign, and you know, when you're out in the regular world, how do you how do you communicate what you need? And so I work with them in any way I can to help them achieve that goal.
And I'm also curious as to how it is for you to be working with these people where that part of their lives, that aspect of them, their ability, is everything. Whereas you come into the world, you have all this stuff going on, right? You don't have any disabilities that you have to deal with. But for them, that becomes the only thing that defines who they are, especially in a world where it's not easy for them to have to deal with. And so, and also their frustrations, where whereas everything that they think of does not entail that. Do you
I
see
do
what
understand.
I'm
I think
and their frustration also with not getting it.
I really think it's about perspective, and I think when you're immersed in the culture and the world of deafness, your perspective is a little different than someone who's an outsider.
Right.
Like someone who's kind of looking in.
Right.
I'm in it, looking out.
Right.
And so are the students and the people that work there. Many of the teachers there are deaf.
Wow.
So the students have a lot to look up to and to see the possibilities in life. One of the things that I do, especially with my older kids, is I really do try to talk to them about what their interests are and how to use those interests to make their life and their world better. I do try to express to them that they are deaf, but they're not you know, any different really than anyone else, and that we try not to look at it as a disability, just you know, something that is different about them.
See, I like that
Yeah.
way of putting it.
Yeah, and yes, the world outside is difficult and is different and does not look at these kids and deaf people the way really they should be looked at, which is that they are just people. They are deserving of, just like I wear glasses, you know, if someone told me I couldn't wear my glasses, that would be a problem if I needed to read something. I feel like, you know, deaf kids and deaf people in general should be entitled to an interpreter wherever they go. There should be something available.
Right.
You know, why is it that it's not available? Why is it so hard? It shouldn't really be so hard. So I think as a society, we have to change the way we look at things and how we accept people in general, especially nowadays. You know, we're talking about kids that definitely need extra help outside of the walls of their school or their community, but they shouldn't have to work so hard to get what they need.
I agree completely, and I'm assuming that that's why they hang out with each other.
Oh, sure.
Because they're the people who understand what it is.
Right.
And so they form these wonderful communities.
They really do.
I saw the movie that won the
Oh
Academy Award
my
for
God,
Best Picture.
that was so good. Coda.
Yes.
It was incredible.
So it was great. And it's nice to see how they were able to build these lives fulfilling around the community of their own people.
And you have to think about
it's unfortunate that that's the way they have to, you know, live.
Right.
But it's still nice to see.
Yeah, but when you think about it, you know, if you have people that are coming from a different country and they all speak the same language, and they're in America, and they don't speak English, they're going to look for a community of people that can understand them. So it really is about communicating and making bonds and you know, feeling comfortable. And you know, and that is why I think any of us look to be around people who are like-minded or have similar interests or are able to communicate with us. You know, that's really important.
Fascinating. I love hearing about the work you do. That's great.
Thank you very
and
much.
You obviously offer a tremendous service to America, to the world. Very needed.
Thank you.
Okay, so now because I've seen your art. It's beautiful, and I want to talk about how that started as a profession, really, a secondary. Because you are doing shows and you're selling your work, and you're showing it in, I don't know, museums maybe?
There's a lot happening.
That's incredible.
It is, and it's still kind of mind-boggling to me. So it all started in 2008, really. When Barack Obama was elected into the presidency, I was extremely emotional. I think I cried for days. And it was very, very hard for me to express my emotions and feelings about this in words. And usually I don't have trouble with words. Like you know, love to communicate. So, but that, I tried to really figure out what was it about this moment that really had me speechless, pretty much. And I think what it was I was recognizing the fact that this country, not that long ago, had enslavement as a, you know, legal, I don't even know, it was legal. And now the President of the United States is a Black man. And I mean, my mind just had a hard time reconciling that or processing it. So I knew that I wanted to express myself artistically. I kind of wanted to go back to, you know, that love of art that I had. I was never formally trained, but I wanted to do something. And I was trying to think of all the ways I could express that artistically, my emotions. I thought maybe I'll try to paint, but I don't really know how to paint. Maybe I'll draw something, but I didn't really know what I could draw that would express that. And then I said, you know, I want to do something that my ancestors were known by. And my family roots, from what we've learned from ancestry, mostly West African, and West African women were really textile artists and really just brilliant at their craft. Excuse me. And so I said, you know, I think I'm going to explore some kind of textile art. I didn't know what. And then I said, you maybe I'll quilt. You know, not only were the West African women, really good at all kinds of textiles, but also at quilting. And so were enslaved women that came over from Africa, from all different areas of Africa, were really good at quilting and story quilting in particular. Back then, their story quilts were Bible quilts. They take verses of the Bible and make blocks, and you know, and some of them told stories about their families, family tree. If you remember, this was a time when you couldn't really write down your family history. So you had to figure out some way to do it. And I just felt like, you know, I can completely envision what was going on back then, and the need to express themselves creatively and still be able to mark their presence in the moments. And so I found that to be extremely powerful. And I said, you know, I'm going to teach myself to quilt. Who cares how it comes out? It's really about just the expression. I really could care less at that time whether or not anybody liked it. You know, I knew that I probably did not want to do traditional quilting. I really wanted to do a more artistic kind of, you know, something to put on my wall, not really a blanket kind of thing. So I started reading everything I could get my hands on about quilting, about art quilting, about the textile arts. And I started trying to think of how I can portray a message in a one panel kind of quilt. That's not easy. But it's sort of like if you want to paint something or draw something, you know, what is the message you're trying to portray in that? And so I wanted to do the same thing with material. And it was hard to think of how to do that, but I decided, I made kind of a pact with myself that I would learn all I could from reading, and then I would try to learn something new for every quilt, do some new technique to kind of teach myself. And my first quilt, I decided to just try out just making sure I could sew in a straight line, not used to a sewing machine. So I did do like a very simple block kind of quilt, more of a traditional style. And I found I could sew, I could do it. I had a good eye for material and what could go together. It took a little learning about what colors go together, but also I was very free about it because I wasn't so invested in what being technically correct. So so I just experimented a lot. And so my first real art quilt was about President Obama.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, because that was my next question. What are the themes that you're portraying?
So this quilt, I had to decide what was my message for this. And you know, I remember I was still trying to express myself, my emotions about this. So what I did was, I decided that, and it evolved as I was doing the quilts, that I wanted to kind of show where we were as a country during the time of enslavement. Before that, where Black people were as a group, and I wanted to portray something about Africa in there. And then my last thing was I really kind of wanted him to be center somehow. What was I going to do? So I started out making his face with little tiny pieces of material. It looks like him. I can't believe it. So he was my center. Around him, I had African warriors, just kind of pieces of material that had that printed on it. So I used that around as a like kind of frame of him. And then outside of that, I had probably about 9 blocks, and each one of those was a particular quilt pattern called Jacob's Ladder. It's also called the Underground Railroad. And it's just like diamonds going up, sort of a ladder kind of look. So that's more of a traditional quilt block. But I made those around them, so it symbolized our years in enslavement, that Jacob's Ladder, where we were before that, which were the African warriors, and they surrounded President Obama also as protection.
Oh, and as
And
like
then-
lifting him up
yes,
to where, wow.
and he's in the center. And
Interesting.
it's a beautiful quilt. I am so
Wow,
proud of
I'd
it.
love to see it.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Okay.
I have a website. I don't know if you'll be able
Okay.
to like maybe take
Tell
pictures from it.
everybody
Yeah.
what your website
Oh, my website is materialgirlstoryquilts.com. And quilts with an S at the end. Quilts.
And you want to spell that just
Oh,
to
sure.
be clear.
Material. Oh, wait, let's try. materialgirlstoryquilts.com.
Okay.
Material Girl Story Quilts.
All right.
And so that's a great website because it has my whole portfolio of art, and it also has information about my book, which I'll talk about in a little bit,
Okay.
and some really great interviews I did for the book. So that quilt, technically, when I look at it now, because I did it back in like 2009 or something, I know that my stitching is imperfect. A regular person looking at it would not know
Right.
that there are technical issues, but as an art piece, it really is lovely and has a lot of feeling and emotion in it, and it really helped me to get rid of that unspoken kind of
Wow.
okay. Feeling.
So you didn't know what to say about that moment.
Yes.
But you were able to express it in your quilt.
I was able to quilt it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what else are you expressing in this art?
Mostly, at least in the very beginning, a lot of the quilts were about something that moved me. Not always saddened, but
Right.
moved me in some way.
Okay.
So I did a quilt that I will actually show you guys that brought with me.
Yeah.
One day I was watching a movie, and at the end of the movie, a song played. And I didn't know who sang the song. The voice was beautiful to me. I was like, who is that? And it's a song that I heard many times by Michael Bublé.
Okay.
Feeling Good.
Okay.
Okay, so, but I was like, I know that that's not Michael Bublé. I could not understand who it was. And as a person who grew up loving jazz, falling in love with jazz at a very early age, could sing every Billie Holiday song by the time I was like 12 or 13. I was like a real weird kid in that way.
Okay.
But this song, I was like, I don't know who it is. Turns out, I looked it up. It was Nina Simone. And Nina Simone was not my favorite singer back then until recently, the last 10 years or so. I loved only Billie Holiday. That was my girl.
Okay.
And Carmen
Saw
McRae.
that movie. It was fabulous.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
She was,
But this song by Nina Simone, her voice, her range, the emotion in it, I just felt like I had to quilt it. So I made a quilt called Feeling Good, as sung by Nina Simone.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I have it with
All
this
right,
one.
let's
to show
see
it.
it. Yeah. Wow, I love the way you do the back of the quilt with just as
yeah.
much detail
Yeah.
as the front. So first let's look at that. Oh, wow.
So this is one of my very early quilts.
Okay.
And what I don't know if you remember, I told you that I tried to
bring it
teach
down.
myself something new.
Okay.
And with this quilt, I taught myself how to curve piece material, which is very difficult because you have to be able to line things up enough so that the piecing matches.
Okay.
So I, really kind of researched how to do that, and I really played with that in this quilt. But you can see Nina in the water with her feet really kind of touching the water, which is, it just symbolizes freedom to me.
Okay.
It's a very early quilt. My daughter designed the earrings, which she was probably only 8 or so when she did that. And I love this quilt. I hang it on a stick, like a branch, because I just feel like she was such an incredible person and a civil rights activist and just, someone who's very, very in touch with nature and all.
And what else can you tell me about the quilts?
So a lot of it has to do with the song. There's a reference to butterflies in the song. There's a reference to the water. I wanted to kind of look at the sun, the skyline, play with material. I don't like kind of make everything look like exact, like for instance, this material has very big flowers, but I don't think it matters because it matches with the flow of the quilt.
And what about this here?
It's just a material that I really loved. It just, to me, looked like flowers, and so I wanted to do that,
I see.
So a lot of it is really just feeling what I'm feeling at the moment. This kind of looked like either a fence or a tree line to me, so I kind of pick materials that just feel good at the moment.
And then in terms of the design of your stitching, I see it's very intricate.
Yes. So this stitching pattern is called stippling, and it's when you lift the feed dog of your sewing machine so that it's not holding your machine steady, which is what you want if you're doing a straight line. But this way, you're free to move the material around, and it just gives sort of a pattern look. And also, when the light catches it, you can see highs and lows based on the.
And I see you did it in the shape of the flowers.
Yeah, sometimes I'll go around the flowers. Sometimes I'll do what feels like movement to me, like in the sky. And in the water, it's a different kind of movement. So all of these things are just, let's see, what year did I do this? 2012, so it's quite some time ago. I wasn't quilting for very long back then.
And this also is really detailed.
So this material is actually a whole material, so I didn't have to put little pieces together. So I love this material, and I kind of thought it would make a nice border because it brings in all of the colors.
All of the colors, yeah. Very nice. So this you put in your house?
Oh, all of my quilts are hanging in my house, unless I'm doing a show. Yeah. And the back just has butterflies.
Yes. Oh, nice.
So they're all hung up, and when I'm doing a show, I feel really sad because they're not there for a while, and my house, I feel like it echoes because my walls are covered with quilts.
So what else can you tell us about?
So that was one. Another one I did, I think, was in 2010. About the earthquake in Haiti when so many people died, and that one is what they call a charm quilt, but it's not perfect charm because I think a charm quilt has many different little squares, but it also has all different material from what I've read, and mine does have some repeat material, but the point of it was each material that I chose symbolized something for me. Like there was one piece of material that looked sort of like a shirt pattern, and it just symbolized the working people there. Another one was just blood red, symbolizing all the death and destruction. Another material to me looked like broken glass, and all the buildings that fell. So they had so much trouble getting the help they needed at that time. The world didn't seem to care, and it just and then I didn't really know much about Haiti, and in order to get into the mood of the piece, I did a lot of reading about Haiti, and I didn't realize what a incredibly resilient and brave people the Haitians were. They fought against the French, who were trying to enslave them, and what they've been through since, and just an incredible history. And I was happy to read and understand it, and it helped me to make my quilt. It's also on my website, and so that one is my most traditional quilt. It's all little tiny squares, but the squares are meaningful, so it's a story quilt in my mind. Then I probably did the next big one was probably my family quilt, my grandmother.
That's one I saw at your show in Freeport.
Oh, yes.
I remember that one.
A real matriarch in my family had raised 4 babies, really, pretty much. Twins, and then 2 others that were born pretty quickly after. So 4 kids under 5 years old, really, when her husband died. And she was only in her 20s, you know, because back then you were married at 16 pretty much. So, you know, her husband died from some infection because he couldn't get to a black hospital. So, you know, she was left without a husband and had to raise these kids. I found it fascinating that even with the struggles that she must have endured, she was a very bright woman. So she was an accountant's helper for a long time, and, you know, really understood math and had a beautiful penmanship. So she, you know, really made things work for herself and for her family. But I was always fascinated by the fact that they always had these great pictures and photos taken, like, you know, these headshots, and, you know, she always had her kids dressed so beautifully. And so there were a bunch of pictures going around the family that she had done, and someone in the family had made sure they copied them and passed them out to the whole family. So we all had these fabulous pictures, photographs. And so, and my grandmother always told me that she had a favorite one. She was probably about 16 in that picture, or maybe a little younger, maybe 14. And it was a very simple picture, her looking up, really pretty. And when she died at 89 years old, I decided, you know, of course, emotionally, but I really wanted to create a quilt that honored her and my family. So I made, it's called Tree of Life. And I made a tree in the center with sort of a water kind of ocean background kind of thing. And then as my border around the entire quilt are those photographs that I copied onto material.
It's interesting to hear this, because I didn't get the whole story. I just remember you saying briefly that this was about your family.
So it's just a gorgeous piece. It's right in my living room and I love it. And I sometimes sit and just talk to them because it's such a great picture. And I have one aunt left who is 84 and has dementia. She lives in Philadelphia, but I still go see her. We talk, we FaceTime sometimes. And, you know, I feel like that quilt is such a tribute and I'm so grateful I did it. So that's that one. And probably my most recent, before we talk about the book, because that's really my most recent, illustrations, but I did a quilt called Life Story, the way my ancestors would have told it. That's the name of it. And it is 12 blocks from my life, 12 memories. And really kind of just wanted to write an autobiography, and that's the way I wrote it, through quilting. And I love that quilt. It's probably my favorite. It's the most technical. In that it uses, I'm trying to remember the name of this right now, I'm blocking, but there are quilt blocks that are separated by strips of material, which have to line up exactly in order for it to look right. And, you know, I'm not very good at following the pattern as well. So that was a lot of work for me. But I feel like it was so great because it frames every block. And I go from the time I was, you know, first born and introduced to the whole family. And you follow my story by the yellow ribbon in my hair. So that's how you know who I am in every block. Usually the people that I quilt don't have faces, so because I want people to really see themselves in my work. So so I love that piece. And there's a block about my first memory, which was I was probably about 2 years old, and now that I'm 62, having a memory that old, I can't remember what I had for breakfast sometimes.
That's awesome.
So my first memory was we lived in a brownstone, an apartment in a brownstone.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember putting snow from the windowsill into a little container, a little red container that probably had candy in it at some time. It looked like a little treasure chest. And I remember putting snow in that. And it was so weird to have that memory, but that's one of the blocks of me in the windowsill with that little red container. There's another one, before we moved to the apartment I described earlier, we lived in a building that had 4 buildings and a courtyard, and all the kids would play there.
Mm-hmm.
And we had all the great games, hopscotch and, oh God, red light, green light, 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? Jump rope, double dutch,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all the Brooklyn games. And so that's one of my blocks. There's another one of my temple, which I love, and another one of Camp Hatikva. My favorite thing to do is just to like look out at the lake and do stuff on the lake. So I love that. I love that quilt. It's really my life story. So I love it. And so that kind of led me to where I am right now, which is now that I am an author. And I don't know how that happened. But
you became one.
I became an author. And it really started out with a quilt. In 2014, I went to a Juneteenth party with one of my girlfriends, Brenda. Hi, Brenda. And she invited me to a Unitarian church. Her church was having like a big Juneteenth festival celebration. I had never heard of Juneteenth.
Okay.
And I was 50 years old. And I just thought we were going to a party. Who's down for a party? So I was like, okay. So I went, and it was like a festival. It was gorgeous. I mean, people were selling things. People had just come back from like Africa and, you know, were selling things. And there were spoken word and folk singers and food, amazing food, and just incredible. And I remember leaving there feeling excited and happy, but also feeling like, why don't I know anything about Juneteenth?
Okay.
Why have I never heard of it? So now I was mad on top of it. And it was like, I grew up in Brooklyn, you know, I went to public school. There's no reason why I should never.
Nobody talked about it.
Nobody talks about it. My parents didn't talk about it.
Well, I hadn't heard of it until just recently.
Exactly.
So.
I'm sure my parents didn't know because they were very into Black history and teaching us, and they never said a word. So I'm assuming they didn't know.
Right.
And so of course I had to make a quilt about it, and I made this huge quilt, and it's beautiful. It's just a bunch of trees. It's the woods. A couple standing with shackles, broken shackles on each arm, and then their other hand, they're holding up their baby to the night sky, symbolizing what is to come, the breaking of the chains, the end of enslavement, which is what Juneteenth is all about. And I, read everything I could about Juneteenth. I made this quilt, and I started showing it. People asked me to show it at different churches and schools, festivals and stuff. So I did, and a lot of people did not know about Juneteenth. So I wrote a little story about it to go along with the quilt.
And that's how you started your book.
Yes, and it helped when I was showing the quilt to read that story. And then, so that was 2014. Had no interest in writing a book. I mean, this was just really a way to help the quilt.
Right.
And then in 2020, when we were all stuck home for COVID, I was like, I think I'll tweak the book a little bit. I'll add a character, and then I'll send it off. So I sent it to a couple of publishing houses that were okay with unsolicited manuscripts.
So this was a book about your quilts.
It was a book about Juneteenth.
Oh.
The quilt just inspired it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's a whole history and.
Well, the book is about a little girl who's getting ready to celebrate her birthday. Back then, and her birthday just happens to fall on that day when she's her family's told that they're now free. So, it's an introduction to Juneteenth. It's a way to get kids interested in asking what happened, why. it's a very beautiful story, and it's an uplifting story. And
something that you came up with.
yes,
Okay.
yes, and so I sent it out, and I did not hear back from the publishing houses. Usually they're backed up 6 months to a year
Yeah.
on reading anything.
And you didn't have an agent, you just sent this out?
Well, interestingly, because I had done so much research, I found out that it's probably better to have an agent.
Yeah.
So not only did I send it out to this couple of publishing houses, I also sent it out to the top Black literary agency in the country. It's called Serendipity Literary Agency, and they wrote me back the next day.
Wow.
And they were like, we're interested in hearing more about this story. I was amazed because they also are usually backed up 6 months to a year. They have 1,000 manuscripts to read. So the fact that mine ended up on the very top and they called me the very next day, it just meant that it was meant to be in my mind,
Like something that strikes me about what your story is right now is that this is, in my belief, when things just happen naturally.
Right.
It doesn't mean you don't put the work into it. It doesn't mean, but the fact that out of thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people who submit manuscripts, this one somehow made it to, and you didn't have experience as a writer.
I've never written anything.
And all of a sudden, your book is taking interest.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a reason for all of this.
I agree 100%.
Like the world works in some strange ways.
Yes.
And I believe that when things are not so hard, right? Like when you push so hard, maybe that's not the right path.
Yeah, agreed, agreed.
When things just kind of fall into place, that's when you're being told, keep going there.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So, you brought this book?
I did bring it with me.
We see?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got it published.
So it took maybe maybe 6 months or so because they were shopping it around to different publishing houses. And luckily it was picked up by Neil Porter Books through Holiday House Books, which is an imprint of Random House.
They are.
Yes. And so the one thing that I was not really sure about was that they wanted me to illustrate the book too. And I was like, I'm not an artist.
But you're a quilter.
Yes, so they were like, we really are interested in seeing how you would quilt this. So I was terrified. It took me 1 year and 2 months to do the 26 illustrations for the book. And they loved it. And before I knew it, my book is all over the country.
Oh my God, Kim, that's amazing.
Before I show you, can I tell you my very favorite thing?
Okay.
All right, so this journey has been incredible, of course.
Wow.
My publishing house did not edit my book.
Wow.
That's unheard of for a new writer.
Yeah.
There was one word that they changed, and that was it. And I was
amazing.
but my most favorite thing about this journey has been I've been invited to speak in so many different places, students that are very young, to students that are high school age. We talk about symbolism, we talk about the importance of freedom. There are so many different things about this book that community, love of self, resilience, so many things. And, I get to have these discussions, and it's so great. About 2 years ago, I was invited to speak in Washington, D.C. to 2 underprivileged schools, second grade classrooms, and to read. They paid for me to go, they paid for my hotel. And the day that I got there was the day before. I was supposed to do the readings early in the morning. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the African American Museum, Smithsonian, because I had that time, and I was like, who knows when I'll get to do this again. So I went. It was powerful, of course. I probably, would not be able to see that whole museum in one time, but I saw as much as I could. 30 minutes before it's closing, they send out an announcement. If you want to get something from the bookstore, the gift shop, go now. Everybody is headed upstairs. The escalators were full. I get inside and I'm like, I'm gonna buy a Juneteenth mug. And I go up and my book is the only one there
my God.
on the shelf with this.
Wow.
And I just go, oh, that's my book. Oh
They didn't even tell you.
Well, they didn't know. They didn't know. I mean, the people that were there, I'm like, I wrote, and they were having me sign it. And
wow.
And so then when I went up to the counter to buy my mug, I was like, I wrote that book, that's fine. He was like, Miss, come with me. Took them all off, had me sign them, put stickers on it that said author signature. I was like, I'm in the Smithsonian African American Museum.
Yeah, this is an
What
incredible
an
life.
honor. Wow.
So show us some of the... So every illustration is one of your quilts.
Yeah, and they're all specially made for this book. They're actually illustrations for the book. It starts out with a little girl. Her name is Huldah. I looked up the name of a prophetess that is not well known because I wanted my main character to kind of symbolize someone who is living in the moment of an experience, but also is able to look towards the future. And when I put in prophetess and these little things, the name Huldah came up, and it was a black prophetess, which you never see from the Bible. So I was like, that is the name of my main character. So her name is Huldah, and I'll just read the first page.
Sure.
Excuse me. The scent of nutmeg and vanilla floated through our cabin and landed as a smile on my face. Tea cakes smell so good while they are baking that I can taste them before I even take the first bite.
That's very beautiful, Kim.
Thank you. So all of the illustrations are quilted.
Yeah.
These cookies are made of different materials. I have to portray emotion and feeling without faces. And as I said before, I really want people to see themselves in the people in the book.
And this looks like it's quilted, but this doesn't.
Yes, so now what I did was I used watercolor on some of the material. My first time doing that, and controlling watercolor on paper is hard, but on material it's like really hard. So I painted some of these things, but then they're sewn, if you can see.
I see.
So, and like the planks are sewn, but I wash them with paint. So yeah, and you know, each illustration is pretty small. It's only 15 by 15.
Right.
So imagine how tiny each piece is to make the people. But I love this book.
Wow, I love it too.
I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
It's called A Flag for Juneteenth.
And do you still give book tours?
I do.
And where are you
Well,
going next?
interestingly, my book is read all over the country. So I have a thing on Google which will give me an alert when somebody's talking about the book or showing the book or advertising that they're going to say something. I just saw, I think it was Detroit, that someone in the summer was doing a walking thing of my book. Like I guess each page was blown up, and the kids were able to walk through and read as they went along. So they're really everywhere. The one thing that I've already booked for 2026 is in Connecticut. I'll be doing a reading, and I think they're doing like kind of a book tour, that kind of walking book tour.
You should do something in Freeport at the Sparkle Theater.
I heard about it.
That?
Yes, but I don't know much about it, so I have to talk to you more.
The owner, manager of that theater did a podcast here, and I can have you get in touch with her.
Okay, absolutely.
I think they would appreciate you so much.
I would love it.
Okay.
I love doing this.
All right.
And the other thing is I'm going through to something called the Mazza Museum. It's in Ohio, I believe. And they want me to talk about my process in the art and to their board, I guess. So I know they do a lot of children's illustrations. So hopefully they'll ask me to illustrate.
So how do you do all this and you have a full-time job?
Yeah, I have a full-time job. Well, I tell you, I haven't quilted in a while. I'm getting ready to, right now, my newest project is, hopefully, I'm doing an album cover for my husband's newest album coming up.
Oh, nice.
So I just started like kind of mapping that out in my mind yesterday. But I haven't really done any huge quilt projects because the one with the book, it took a year and 2 months, and I needed a lot of time to recover from that one.
Yeah.
It was emotionally draining and terrifying because I wasn't sure I could do it. And so I'm just getting back now to quilting. Very hard to find the time.
Right.
I'm also writing. I'm trying to write a new book.
I was just going to say,
yes,
what's
I'm
your
writing
next
a
book
new
about?
one. Well, I wrote a sequel to this one right now already, but I don't think the publishing house is quite ready for that yet.
Okay.
So I'm writing something a little bit lighter right now about the importance of kids, for kids to commit to their pets.
Aww.
And to do what they say they'll do to make sure their pets have good lives. So I'm in the middle of writing that one. I just made my book, A Flag for Juneteenth, into a play form. So the Children's Museum is looking at that now. So we'll see what happens. You know what? I'm having so much fun. That's why I feel like as much as I love my job, I'll be 65 in 2 years, and I really am considering retiring because
it sounds like you can, but that's not really retiring.
Yeah.
You're going on to a new stage.
Yeah, I want to just do something that I really want to, do every day without the commute.
Yeah. Well, so, it sounds like you're already there.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to tell people about? I really appreciate that you came here.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
So interesting to hear about the things you're doing.
Yeah.
And how could people reach out to you without the long website?
Right.
If they're interested in featuring your work, whether it's your book, that they want to have you come speak to.
Absolutely. Please feel free to reach out. Check out my website just to check it out. And again, here's an email. The website is materialgirlstoryquilts.com.
Okay.
And at least you can see the things and read some of the really amazing reviews I got for my book. Some interviews that I've done. I have videos on there. And you can see some of my non-book related quilts. And if you want to just reach out to say hi or to ask me anything, I have a dedicated email address, and it is quilt, QUILT, griot, GRIOT. And in case you're wondering, griot means storyteller in some of the African countries. So quiltgriot@gmail.com.
Okay. Great. Yeah. And I want a copy of the book. I'd like to have one signed.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And thank you everybody for coming. And thank you, Kim Taylor. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. I so appreciate you having me. And Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.